Welcome to our weekly discussion of all things current in California politics. I'm Walt Gray. This week we're joined by reporter Emily Hoeven, a political expert for CalMatters.org. Emily, welcome to the weekend. Glad the weather is substantially cooler. This week was extremely hot, flex alerts, and a lot of the media was looking to the governor to find out what was going on. He wasn't the easiest to find. Did you find that as well?
We were looking for him to answer questions, give us a press conference and media availability so that we could ask him some of residents' most pressing questions about the extreme heat wave, how to stay safe, measures that they could take to ensure they're conserving energy, why they needed to take those steps. And his press office was essentially brushing us off and instead just releasing pre-taped 1 minute long or so videos where we didn't have the opportunity to directly ask him questions. They did put out a longer video as well, but again, we weren't physically there. We weren't physically able to ask him questions. And then it turns out that he gave an impromptu press conference after attending a very high profile technology conference in Beverly Hills. And he gave this random kind of impromptu conference in Los Angeles, and his press office called several members of the media to go attend, but they didn't notify the statewide press corps until after the conference had already begun, which limited our ability to cover the conference and again to show up, ask him questions. And when we pressed for more information about that, they just said he had decided spur of the moment to do it. But it was frustrating for some journalists because when we had asked before, is he going to give press conferences? Is he going to be able to answer questions? They had said he was too busy with the heat emergency, but then he was at this technology event. And then at the same time, they had been asking the media, as I'm sure you experienced as well, to use our reach to talk about the need to conserve energy and avoid the rolling blackouts.
Okay, so that said, we're going to be, carbon free or whatever they're calling it now in 2035. So if we have emergencies like this with lack of power or conserving power, a lot of people are also asking, how do we do the electric car thing if we're in flex alerts?
It's going to be a challenge because the State Energy Commission has projected that in the next decade or so, the amount of megawatts of energy that Californians are going to be demanding could be around 78,000 megawatts. And when we had the most demand this week and the state was on the verge of rolling blackouts, that was around 52,000 megawatts of demand, which was a new record. It broke a record that had been there for nearly 2 decades. And so when you think about the fact that in the next decade, we're going to amplify that by another 20,000 or so megawatts, partially because there are going to be more electric cars on the road and there's going to be increased demand to charge those electric cars. It really raises the question of whether the state is going to be able to build enough renewable energy projects in the next decade to accomplish that. You know, the governor has said that he's pouring lots of money into this. They're kind of streamlining the process, cutting red tape, but I still think it will be a challenge. That's part of the reason why we extended the lifespan of Diablo Canyon, the nuclear power plant.
Emily, thank you. CalMatters is a nonpartisan news organization explaining California policies and politics. Find their work at CalMatters.org. You can also sign up for Emily's newsletter there.